The auction block. The golden halls of the Carthana Accord glittered with peace, but it was a lie. Beneath the marble floors and diplomatic robes, war churned like a buried star, ready to erupt. Ambassador Leona Graves stood tall among the giants. She was the lone human representative at the conference, a delicate but precise woman in her late 30s, wrapped in the stark black and white of Earth's diplomatic corps. Her dark hair was pinned back, and her gaze unflinching. Around her, dozens of alien species hummed, slithered, chirped, or hovered in gravity-nullified grace. The Galactic Empire's delegation occupied the highest podium. 7 feet tall and plated in armor, High Executor Malvik represented their might. Their kind, known as the Virexian, were brutal, ruthless, and had never been denied what they demanded. And today, they demanded her. "This hearing is adjourned," Leona said into the speaker, her voice calm. "The Human Confederation rejects your accusations as fabricated and baseless." Executor Malvik's spines flared with something close to amusement. "Then let the galaxy see how your kind treats the authority of the High Empire." Without warning, 10 Virexian guards stormed the chamber. They bypassed security, silencing opposition with muscle and menace. Before the Sarnic ambassador could protest, his tentacles were pinned against the floor. The insectoid delegates skittered backward in panic. Leona did not flinch. 2 guards approached her. "This is a violation of galactic protocol," she stated flatly. Malvik grinned. "So, was your expansion into Sector 7E, our space? You violated our borders. You built weapons in defiance of the Pax Treaty. You meddled in our client worlds, all of which are lies. You are hereby stripped of rank and declared property of the Galactic Empire." Before she could speak again, a stun rod slammed into her back. Her muscles locked, and darkness closed in like a folding star. She awoke in chains. Cold metal cuffs gripped her wrists and ankles. Her diplomatic uniform was gone, replaced with a threadbare tunic that left her exposed and humiliated. She was inside a holding cell aboard a transport ship en route to Zytherian, the Empire's capital. Outside the cell, the stars flowed by like silent witnesses. Through the thick bars, she saw 2 Virexian soldiers laughing as they adjusted a hollow projector. On it played a looped propaganda reel. Her capture, her defiance, then her collapse. The footage had already been broadcast to billions. Leona sat still. She allowed herself no tears, no rage, only purpose. She closed her eyes and breathed deeply. Her final message to Earth had been a whisper, hidden behind a coded diplomatic channel. "Don't negotiate. Show them what we are." She knew what might follow. The auction dome of Zytherian could seat 5 million beings. It was carved from obsidian stone and lined with banners made from the skins of conquered species. Today it was full. The crowd murmured as Leona was dragged onto the center platform, chained, bruised, but not broken. Her name was spoken mockingly by the announcer, presenting the ambassador of the so-called Human Confederation, the defiant whelp of Earth. The crowd erupted in derision. Tentacles waved. Mandibles clicked. Glands puffed colored gases in joy. Bidding began at 1 million Imperial credits. She stood under a cone of light, silent. Her eyes scanned the crowd, recording faces, species, affiliations. Calculating. Noting. There were cameras everywhere. She would make them see. Alien dignitaries, some allies, some neutral, some hostile, placed bids. Each new offer came with a speech about Earth's audacity, its weakness, or its place in the hierarchy. One bidder declared, "I'll chain her to my garden throne. Let her pour my wine as her world weeps." Another laughed, "I'll give her to my hatchlings." A living lesson on humility. But she still said nothing, until a new figure rose. A Virexian noble wrapped in robes adorned with trophies, skulls, trinkets, torn flags. "I bid 10 million credits," he said. "Let her crawl in chains beneath my sky palace." A hush fell. No one topped it. The gong struck. Sold. The human ambassador was no longer a person, but property. The noble strode forward, sneering. He lifted her chin with a talon. "Do you know what this means?" I do, she replied. I'll parade you before my kin, a symbol of Earth's obedience. You won't, she said softly. What? You'll be dead before that. Hours passed. The noble's cruiser departed Zytherian, carrying her toward his estate on the inner ring of the capital. Unbeknownst to him, a tiny metallic insect, no larger than a flea, clung to the edge of his ship's hull. It had followed Leona from Carthana to Zytherian. It was not Imperial. It was Terran. The moment the auction concluded, it had activated. Message received. Diplomatic hostage confirmed. Status: dehumanization broadcasted. Protocol Hellfire engaged. Back on Earth, deep beneath the Terran United Command, a black room lit up with red sigils. Admiral Harlan watched the screen in silence. Leona's last transmission, coded in old code encryption, a method only war-era operatives knew, flashed before him. She's alive, the aide whispered. But they auctioned her, sir. To make a point. The Admiral didn't respond. He turned toward the warboard. The hologram of the Milky Way flickered. Hundreds of Terran ships blinked into readiness. He pressed a single button marked Initiate Hellfire. Send the fleet. Back in her cell, aboard the noble's cruiser, Leona waited. The ship's walls hummed gently with propulsion. The guards were growing bored. Her new master had ordered her confined until he could present her at his feast. She was alone. She smiled to herself. It wasn't hope that stirred in her. It was inevitability. Far beyond Zytherian, in the dark silence between stars, human ships began to move. The Vengeance-class dreadnoughts emerged from their hidden launch stations behind Pluto. The Hammer of Terra aligned its spinal mass driver. From the Oort Cloud to Barnard Star, black ships bearing no flags initiated silent FTL jumps. Humanity, once mocked as weak, was sending its answer, not with words, but with fire. The wrath of Earth. Silence hung in the vacuum between stars, until Earth roared. From the shadow of Saturn's rings to the hidden bastions beyond Alpha Centauri, the Terran Armada began to move. The galaxy had long believed humanity to be restrained, peace-driven, and diplomatically docile. The Galactic Empire mistook grace for fear, mercy for submission. They auctioned a Terran ambassador as a slave, believing it would humble the species. They were wrong. Very, very wrong. Inside the Terran High Command War Chamber, Admiral Harlan gave the final authorization. Operation Hellfire is green. Initiate across all divisions. On the main screen, Earth's fleet bloomed into motion. Vengeance-class dreadnoughts, Blackthorn corvettes, Peregrine bombers, and Echo-class stealth frigates crossed into enemy space through wormholes long thought inactive. There was no warning. There were no ultimatums. Only the words, transmitted in every galactic language. You auction peace. We return war. The Galactic Empire's home system, Zytherian Prime, was shielded by 7 defense rings, each layered with ion cannons, energy fields, and fighter patrols. Each had withstood centuries of assault. Each fell within minutes. The first ring was annihilated by magnetokinetic orbital rail slugs, projectiles accelerated to near light speed, tearing through entire platforms before Imperial AI even identified the incoming trajectories. The second was disabled by Echo-class stealth units, ships that infiltrated with cloaking arrays and deployed EMP hives, frying defense networks silently. The third and fourth collapsed when singularity bombs, illegal under every galactic treaty, ripped holes in space-time near the planetary orbit. By the time the fifth ring activated its shields, Earth's Hammer of Terra had already breached orbit and was broadcasting a single message on repeat. Return Ambassador Leona Graves, or there will be no Zytherian left. The Empire never replied. They couldn't. Communications were jammed, leadership scattered, and the planetary command grid shredded by orbital bombardment. High Executor Malvik, once confident and supreme, now stood on the Empire's capital tower, watching the sky burn. "Where is she?" he bellowed at his aides. They were already dead. He rushed to the war room, only to find it in flames. On the central holo display, a live feed played. His private estate cruiser, the one holding Leona Graves, surrounded by 10 Terran warships. A single human message displayed on the screen in red letters. Stand down and deliver the ambassador. Last warning. Malvik gritted his fangs. They'll never make it past the city's planetary guns. But as he spoke, those very guns erupted, not in fire, but in explosions from within. Terran saboteurs had already embedded into the infrastructure. The Empire never suspected Earth's quiet infiltration over decades of peace. Aboard the Imperial Noble's cruiser, Leona sat calmly in her cell. Outside her window, Earth's ships appeared like titans of myth, sleek, black, edged in crimson light. One ship resembled a floating fortress. Another unfurled massive wings of light. Solar sails hardened with antimatter filaments. The cruiser's crew panicked. No, they weren't supposed to. This fast. This many. Raise shields. Too late. A voice broke through every speaker on the ship. A woman's voice. Ambassador Graves, this is Commander Juno Malik of the Terran Special Recovery Unit. We're here to bring you home. Leona smiled. Took you long enough. With a thunderous crash, the airlock was breached by Terran Marines in Aegis-class exosuits, giant walking tanks of ceramic titanium. They didn't fire unless fired upon. But when one Virexian guard panicked and raised his plasma rifle, he was turned to ash by a single burst of magnetic flechettes. The corridor cleared instantly. Leona stood as the door to her cell hissed open. A female officer in black and red armor stepped forward, removed her helmet. Commander Malik. Her eyes were as cold as the space behind her. You all right, Ambassador? Leona brushed her hair back. I'm not a diplomat anymore. Malik grinned. Today, you're the spark. As they returned to the extraction shuttle, the noble, her owner, emerged from the corridor, shouting, She's mine. I paid. He didn't finish. A plasma round from Malik's sidearm cut him down mid-sentence. Not as vengeance, as policy. Claiming ownership of a human citizen is now classified as a declaration of war, Malik said, holstering her weapon. Outside, the battle for Zytherian reached its climax. The Hammer of Terra fired its main gun, an antimatter lance that sliced through the Empire's palace like butter. Shock waves rippled through the crust of the planet. Entire noble families tried to flee. They were intercepted. Every ship bearing human diplomats in chains or degrading symbols was boarded or destroyed. Leona stood on the command deck of the Merciless, watching it all. She didn't revel in it, but she didn't regret it, either. This wasn't vengeance, she said quietly to Malik. This was justice. Within 48 hours, the once golden capital of the Galactic Empire lay in ruins. Imperial leaders were rounded up, not executed. Humanity still held to some code. They were placed on trial aboard a Terran tribunal ship. The charges: crimes against sentience, slavery, violation of diplomatic sovereignty. Executor Malvik, now bound and bruised, was dragged to the courtroom where he once laughed at humanity. The tribunal judge, Ambassador Leona Graves, in full diplomatic uniform again, her voice rang across the courtroom. You auctioned me for credits. You chained diplomacy and mocked peace. And you underestimated humanity. Malvik hissed. You're just another empire now. Just like us. No, Leona said. You built empires on blood and pride. We built ours on warning shots you never heard. After the trial, a formal broadcast went out to the galaxy. The backdrop, the scorched remains of Zytherian Prime. Leona stood before it, with a Terran flag behind her. To the watching worlds, she said, Earth came to the stars, seeking friendship. We spoke in good faith, extended peace, followed the rules. But we are not prey. We are not yours to auction. You raise your hand against one of ours. And now, you all know, we may come in peace, but we never come alone. Peace treaties were redrawn. The Empire's worlds were divided, demilitarized, and placed under Terran oversight. Former slaves were liberated. Some alien races, once complicit in the auction, surrendered without a fight, fearing what Earth might do next. And humanity, having shown its wrath, stepped back, not as conquerors, but as watchers. The message was received and remembered. In every corner of the galaxy, whispers spread like wildfire. Never touch a Terran diplomat. never awaken Earth's warships, because when humans come angry, they bring extinction in their wake. Leona Graves never returned to a diplomatic post. Instead, she became Earth's first interstellar justice commissioner, tasked with ensuring that what happened to her would never happen again to any species, anywhere. She bore the scars of chains, but she wore the badge of fire, and in the long dark between galaxies, her name became legend. Not because she screamed, but because she waited until humanity answered for her.